From a contemporary geopolitical standpoint, the United States is unmistakably walking a strategic tightrope, balancing its historic role as a global leader against the realities of an increasingly fragmented and competitive world order. For decades after the Cold War, the U.S. operated within a largely unipolar system, where its military, economic, and diplomatic dominance shaped international norms. Today, that environment has shifted dramatically. China's rapid economic rise and technological ambition challenge U.S. supremacy in Asia and beyond, while Russia's assertive military posture, particularly in Eastern Europe, forces Washington to recommit resources to deterrence and alliance reassurance. Simultaneously, instability in the Middle East, tensions in the South China Sea, and evolving security threats such as cyber warfare and space militarization demand constant attention. The United States must now manage multiple theaters of influence without overstretching its military or eroding domestic support for international engagement. Every foreign policy decision is scrutinized not only by allies and adversaries but also by global markets and international institutions. Excessive intervention risks accusations of imperial overreach, while restraint can undermine credibility and deterrence. Complicating matters further is the delicate balance between economic globalization and national security. Supply chain dependencies exposed during recent global crises have prompted the U.S. to reconsider trade relationships, invest in domestic manufacturing, and limit technological transfers to rivals, all while avoiding a full-scale economic decoupling that could harm global growth. Diplomatic leadership has also become more complex as many nations pursue non-aligned or interest-based partnerships rather than ideological alliances. In this environment, the United States must continuously adjust its posture, ensuring that its actions reinforce stability rather than provoke escalation. This geopolitical tightrope reflects a world where power is no longer absolute but conditional, and where misjudgments, military, economic, or diplomatic, can reverberate globally with lasting consequences. On the domestic front, the United States faces socio-economic pressures that significantly narrow its margin for error, making the balancing act even more precarious. While the U.S. economy remains one of the largest and most innovative in the world, structural inequalities have deepened over time. Rising living costs, particularly in housing, healthcare, and education, have outpaced wage growth for much of the population, creating widespread financial insecurity. Inflationary pressures in recent years have further strained household budgets, eroding purchasing power and fueling public dissatisfaction. At the same time, wealth concentration among corporations and high-income individuals has intensified perceptions of unfairness, undermining trust in economic and political institutions. These economic stresses intersect with deep political polarization, which has transformed governance into a constant struggle rather than a mechanism for consensus building. Partisan divisions now shape debates over fiscal policy, social welfare, immigration, and even basic democratic norms, making it difficult to enact long-term reforms. Elections have become high-stakes contests marked by mistrust, misinformation, and contested legitimacy, further weakening institutional stability. Socially, cultural divisions around race, identity, and values have amplified tensions, often magnified by digital media ecosystems that reward outrage over nuance. The federal government must navigate these fractures while maintaining economic growth, social order, and democratic credibility. This internal fragility affects America's global standing. A nation divided against itself struggles to project moral authority or strategic clarity abroad. Foreign adversaries exploit these divisions through disinformation campaigns, while allies question the consistency of U.S. commitments across political cycles. Thus, the socio-economic tightrope is not merely about managing resources, it is about sustaining social cohesion and democratic functionality in an era of rapid change and persistent uncertainty. Viewed in a wider historical context, the United States' current tightrope walk represents a transitional phase rather than a simple narrative of decline or dominance. The global system is evolving toward multipolarity, where power is distributed among several major actors rather than concentrated in one. This transition challenges traditional U.S. assumptions about leadership, requiring a shift from unilateral influence to coalition-based problem-solving. Issues such as climate change, global health, technological governance, and migration cannot be addressed by any single nation, regardless of power. For the U.S., adapting to this reality means redefining leadership as coordination rather than control, persuasion rather than coercion. This adjustment is complicated by domestic constraints, where public skepticism toward globalization and foreign commitments pressures policymakers to prioritize inward-looking agendas. Yet, the United States still possesses formidable strengths: world-leading universities, a culture of innovation, deep financial markets, and a network of alliances unmatched by any rival. Its challenge lies in aligning these assets with long-term strategy rather than short-term political gains. Technological competition, particularly in artificial intelligence, biotechnology, and clean energy, will shape future power balances, making investment in education and infrastructure critical. Climate change adds another layer of urgency, as environmental instability threatens economic systems, national security, and social order. In this sense, the tightrope is both a risk and an opportunity. If the United States can successfully integrate domestic renewal with adaptive global engagement, it may emerge not as an uncontested hegemon but as a stabilizing force in a complex world. Failure to do so, however, could result in diminished influence and increased global volatility. Ultimately, America's balancing act is a test of its ability to evolve, proving whether it can transform historic power into sustainable leadership for the 21st century.